in Song of Songs. The verses begin with, "Open up for me, my sister, my bride, my dove, my complete one." And we quoted the Talmud which says, Hashem says, "Please open up for me like the eye of a needle." And then Hashem says, "I'll open up for you like the size of the huge entrance to the Ulam." Morning. So, what is the meaning of the size of a needle? So we learned yesterday that there are two versions of what the hole in the needle we're referring to. Either referring to the hole where the thread goes through, so although it's very small, it still has its size. And then there is the point of the needle, and that is a geometric point. There's nothing smaller than that. And the idea of turning to Hashem, the size of the opening of a needle, means that you're turning to Hashem from your very core, not because it makes sense, not because you feel like it, because of you, that you want this connection to Hashem.
What I don't understand is the size of the olam.
Size of an oval?
Ulam.
In the Bais Hamikdash, there was a huge doorway called the Ulam,
Which led to
the Kodesh, the inner sanctum, where there was the menorah.
So from the Azara to the
right,
sanctum.
right. So when Hashem says
Which
open
led
up,
from the outside to the inside, which is kind of what you're saying.
right? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting point. Yeah, it's about going inside, right? Yeah. A huge door to go inside. So this reminds me of a word to the Kotzker Rebbe. The Kotzker Rebbe said that you open up for me, Hashem says, like the size of a needle. He says, maybe a small opening, but it's sharp, it punctures. So I don't know if maybe the Kotzker Rebbe was known to be very sharp. So without taking the sharpness off of the Vart, the idea is that there's something very significant about this movement you're making to Hashem, that you want this connection, that your whole being is in this movement, that you have shifted. You turn to Hashem.
Maybe it's telling you exactly that. Make sure you use the side that's opening, not the side that punctures. Maybe.
Use the side that's opening.
Yeah, don't go around puncturing.
Don't puncture people.
Don't go to the open, the little open.
No, but the Rebbe says
the needle has two sides.
No, the Rebbe says the focus on. The Rebbe is focusing on the other one, though. It means the point, the geometric point. He's saying,
okay.
And it says, and that turn to Hashem, that punctures a small hole in the iron wall between the Jew and the Eibishter, and then there could be the subsequent things that the verse talks about: the sister, the dove, the bride. And so far, what we learned about was the idea of the sister. We said so far two meanings of the word sister. Sister is brother and sister have a natural love for each other. They don't have to do something in order to create that love. They have a natural love. And so too, a Jew has a natural love for Hashem. So in the opening, towards the huge opening of the Ulam, step one of the opening, after you've made this puncture in the wall with the size of a needle, is to have a relationship with Hashem like a brother and sister. We have this natural love. Another meaning to the word sister is a knot, a bond. A brother and sister have a bond with each other, but we spoke about how this refers to Abraham Avinu, who was called a sister to Hashem. Why is he called a sister to Hashem? Because he made a bond between all creation and Hashem. And not only did Abraham inspire people to believe in Hashem, bonding them with Hashem, but also in Abraham himself, it's hard to yourself always, right? In his connection to Hashem, there's a unique phrase that is said about him. He didn't call Hashem of the world, rather he said Hashem world, which doesn't mean that the world is Hashem. What it means is that he recognized Hashem's energy in the world, Hashem's vitality in the world. How every moment Hashem is constantly creating and vivifying and animating every single thing in the world out of absolute nothingness. So in this discussion about Avraham Avinu connecting the world to Hashem, we went a little deeper and we discussed how, first of all, the world needs the word of Hashem every second to exist. Then we went even deeper and we spoke about another component in creation. The world needs Hashem's desire to exist. And just like with our own desires, our desire is nothing other than ourselves. A desire means I'm drawn somewhere. That's what a desire is. I'm drawn somewhere. So just like in ourselves, the desire is about us being drawn somewhere, but not about something on the outside, as opposed to our faculties, like our intellect, like our emotions, which are things that do things. Desire can't create anything. Desire can only cause another tool of the soul to move, but desire doesn't create anything independent of the soul, because the desire isn't a thing. Intellect creates ideas, emotions create good feelings, or the opposite, shalom. But desire is not a thing, and therefore doesn't create something. So, as long as the desire is there, things are in motion. Thank you very much. The moment the desire stops, things stop being in motion. So desire, chaim v'racha. So if we understand that Hashem has to will the world into creation, so we could also appreciate that as soon as Hashem withdraws His will from creation, everything stops to exist, and that gives us this, if you will, Abrahamic sense that all of the world is godly, and therefore to feel that they need to say a bracha before you eat, and they need to thank Hashem for everything that's going on in your life, and the idea of, as yesterday was the 9th of Adar, the idea of realizing that there's no, as the previous Rebbe said he came to America, this America is not different than Europe. To feel how also the American moments in our lives, the parts in our life which we think are not connected, to realize that they're not different than the other parts. That's the idea of being a sister to Hashem, connecting everything to Hashem. Let's continue now on page 412. Ba'apiz and move on. According to this, it's understood, since that all that Hashem desired He created, that the creation in this world is from Hashem's supernal desire. So then the world has no substance at all without Hashem's desire, and all it is Hashem's desire. This is something that exists in the nature of all things that Hashem created. This is something that could be explained to the animal soul. Although the animal soul is an animal, and just like it says about every physical animal, that a spirit of an animal brings it down, in other words, the animal soul is focused on lower things. However, when you explain to the animal soul that the entire existence of this world, it was created by the word of Hashem. Now, the word of Hashem, Hashem made the heavens, and if Hashem would withdraw, even for a moment, all of creation will be absolutely nothing. Automatically, even while it exists, next page, it's not a mitzi, it's not really an entity, and more. Since creation really comes from Hashem's desire, so it's just like a human desire, that your desire is nothing outside of yourself. Rather, desire means that you are drawn somewhere, so therefore the world is also not an entity. All it is something that Hashem willed into existence. So through this, you're able to cause your animal soul should also have this sister-like bond with Hashem, so that it connects the world with godliness. Your animal soul feels this way, until you reach a point that the world, from the perspective of the animal soul, is one with godliness. Keil Olam, Hashem is the God of the world, that all there is the existence of godliness, and this is the animal soul's perspective. So this is the way godliness is here, the way Hashem contracts His life to be in this realm. The animal soul can appreciate this. That's becoming Hashem's sister, where you are connecting everything that goes on in your life and realizing that this is godly. And the animal soul can do this too. That's a big thing, by the way. It's not just that your neshama senses this. They're just saying this is something your animal soul could do as well. So now it's hey. That's step one. This is in the journey to open up our hearts as the size of the ulam. Step one is the sister, connecting the world with godliness, realizing how all of creation is constantly being created by Hashem, and all is Hashem's desire. Without Hashem's desire, it doesn't exist. And even while it exists, it's like our desire that our desire can't create anything independent of itself. Desire just is, while desire is for something, that's when that thing is here. Okay. Beyond and higher, and through the serving Hashem, like a sister, we're able to reach a higher level, and that is my bride, the one who feeds me, the one who nourishes me. What this means is, right? Oh, the Medrash says the Jewish people are called my bride, the one who feed Hashem, so to speak, the one who feed me. That so to speak, the Jewish people give parnasa, they nourish their Father in heaven. What this means is, like for example, when a person eats, what does eating do? Eating connects the soul with the body. The soul by itself is absolutely spiritual. The body by itself is physical, it's material. How can they connect to each other? This is through eating and drinking. That's what parnasa means. Parnasa means feeding this bond between body and soul. And so too does this apply in heaven. The Talmud says, just like the soul fills the body, so too does Hashem fill the world. That means that Hashem, without any contraction, is completely beyond all of the worlds, the entire chain of the spiritual cosmos, as it says in Torah or. This is not the main thing that Hashem accomplishes, that He creates worlds. That's not His main entity, that He creates worlds. Rather, He's far beyond creation. He is infinite. In order for Hashem to fill the world, in order that godliness should descend from how He is beyond the spiritual cosmos to create the world, this to bring down His infinite light into creation, this is achieved through the Jewish people. As the Talmud says, Bereshis, why did Hashem create the world? For the Jewish people who are called Reshis. They are also called the first. Bereshis, in the beginning, Hashem created the world. He created the world for another beginning. For the beginning, the Jewish people are called also the first in the beginning. And the reason why the Jewish people are called the beginning is because of the Torah, which is also called beginning. In other words, what makes us, what reveals in us our specialness is the Torah. And therefore, through the Jewish people, that's why the Jewish people are called my bride, the one who feeds me. That means when the Jewish people act according to the instruction of Torah, the Torah is then called bread, and through this, this becomes the bread, so to speak, of Hashem, as it says in the Torah. My bread, that the soul of the world is able to connect and invest itself and fill the world just like the soul fills the body. So in short, what we just said in this paragraph is that just like our soul is absolutely spiritual and the body is absolutely physical, in order to connect and you have to have food, so too Hashem is infinite. And in order to bring Hashem's light into the world is through the Jewish people who learn Torah. By learning Torah and fulfilling Torah, that is the bread that connects the infinite light of Hashem to creation. You follow? You with me, Dr. Bressman?
I got behind in a sentence.
No problem.
Repeat that.
No problem. The soul is absolutely spiritual.
Right.
The body is absolutely physical.
Right.
That's why I need to eat, to create, Shalom Aleichem. In order to create a connection between soul and body, we have to eat. Why do we have to eat? Because how are you supposed to connect the spiritual and the physical? It has to be something that connects it. So that's what food does. So in a similar way, Hashem is not a creator. He becomes a creator. He wasn't born a creator, if you will. Hashem is infinite. Hashem contracts His light to create the world. So what causes Hashem's light to descend to creation, to animate the world? It's the Jewish people keeping Torah. Torah is called Hashem's bread, so to speak. And we, through keeping Torah, we bring Hashem's infinite light into the world. So that's why we're called the one who feeds Hashem, so to speak. How do we feed Hashem? By learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, we bring Hashem's infinite light into the world. Just like the soul comes into the body through eating food, Hashem's infinite light comes to the world through us learning Torah. Yeah?
Okay.
Let's go on the bottom of 413. What's the advantage of step 2 in our relationship, in being Hashem's bride, the one who nourishes Him, beyond being Hashem's sister? Serving Hashem as a sister is something that is associated with our natural love for Hashem. And also the second meaning of sister. First, sister is someone you have a natural love for. And also sister means bond. The idea of being Hashem's sister is about connecting the world with God. Sister means connection. Connecting the world with Hashem. What are you connecting? You're connecting the physical world with Hashem. You're involved with the nature of creation. And you're connecting creation as it is with Hashem. All you're doing is showing that the world is godly, but you're still in the realm of creation. Next page. But from that level of the relationship as a sister, it's possible to be completely engrossed in the world. This sister-like relationship with Hashem, this doesn't motivate you to leave limitations of creation, because all it is about connecting to Hashem in the world, realizing the world itself is godly. However, the second feature in our bond with Hashem, where we're called the one who feeds Hashem, where we're bringing the infinite light of Hashem to fill the world. To do this, we have to connect us to the way Hashem is uncontracted, the way He is beyond filling the world. So the service of Hashem that draws Hashem's infinite light, the way it is beyond, that way it is before there is any contraction, into creation, in order to connect the infinite light. So we have to also go beyond our limitations, beyond the limitations of the world. In general, this is the distinction between the two different kinds of serving, two different ways of serving Hashem. There is the service of Hashem that is represented by the first two phrases in Shema, and then there is the service of Hashem that's represented by the third phrase in Shema. It says in Shema, love Hashem with all your heart and all your soul. That's one level. Then there's love Hashem with all your might. Loving Hashem with all your heart, you love it. Your heart is filled with love of Hashem. Loving Hashem with all your soul means that your whole being is, you run through a mitzvah, your whole being is enveloped with a love for Hashem. You are totally enveloped with a love for the Eibishter. That's what chol nafsh, with all your soul, your whole being is full of love. But the b'chol miyadecha, with all your might, that means going beyond your limitations, beyond what you have, beyond your soul powers, beyond your vessels. As long as you are limited in your faculties, and you're serving Hashem with your faculties, even if you love Hashem with all your heart, with all your soul, you're totally filling yourself with holiness and love. However, you're still within your own parameters and the parameters of the world, and the parameters of the spiritual cosmos. So you cannot draw down in the world the infinite light of Hashem that's beyond creation. If you want to bring down the infinite light of Hashem, that should fill the world, you have to also do something infinite in yourself. You have to serve Hashem in a way that's unlimited, without any measurement. And this is connected to how we first defined our role as the ones who feed Hashem by studying Torah. It sounded pretty easy before. What happened? The Torah is the wisdom and the will of Hashem. And the Torah existed 2,000 years before the world, which also means that the Torah is 2,000 levels beyond creation, whatever that means. Torah is associated with Chachma and Bina, which are called, the word Alpayim, which is 2,000, is also related to study. So Torah is beyond creation, which creation, as we'll say tonight in Kiddush, is associated with Sheishes Yamim, 6 days, which when we say in Kiddush, we don't say in 6 days Hashem made the world, we say 6 days made the world, because we're talking about how the 6 emotional character traits of Hashem animate each day of creation, Sunday through Chesed and Monday through Gura. But the Torah is from the wisdom of Hashem, from the Chacham Bina of Hashem, which is beyond creation. And therefore the Torah is able to draw down Hashem's infinite light and bring it into creation. The Torah is able to bring into the spiritual cosmos how Hashem is beyond creation. Okay, so there's two things we're saying here, and there was connecting them. One thing we're saying is we study Torah. Torah is infinite, because Torah is infinite. So therefore, when you study Torah, you bring down Hashem's infinite light into creation. Another thing the Rebbe is saying is that you have to be infinite to draw down the infinite light of Hashem in creation. Therefore, you have to serve Hashem b'chol miyadech with all your might. I don't think there's a contradiction here. I know it says in Samach Vav, the Rebbe Cashapp says that in order to connect with the light of the Torah, for the light of the Torah to be revealed in us, is through loving Hashem ba'avarab, loving Hashem with extreme, with beyond limitations. So it could be that in order for us to connect really with the light of Torah, we have to go beyond our limitations. Could be that's what the Rebbe is referring to. I don't know. But the general theme, however, of going beyond limitations, love Hashem b'chol miyadecha, as opposed to loving Hashem with all your heart and all your soul, it's not a small thing. There was a great Kabbalist named Rabbi Pano. Rabbi Pano once explained the following verse. It says in the verse, "My beloved ran away to Harei Psamim, to mountains called Psamim. And these mountains were huge mountains. My beloved went away to these tall mountains." So the Rabbi Pano explains the tall mountains refer to Hashem's infinite light. Okay, infinite light. So he says, why do we use mountains to describe Hashem's infinite light? Mountains are limited. The bigger the mountain is, it may seem more awesome to us, but it's not infinite. He says, yes, it's not infinite, but since in our world it is big, it represents something big in heaven, it represents Hashem's infinity. And in a similar way, although our infinity is not Hashem's infinity, Chaim Peretz, for him to daven for 3 hours straight.
I don't. It takes me a long time.
We will time you and we will see who's right. For him to daven 3 hours straight may not be such an incredible feat. For me, that would be b'chol miyadecha. That would be beyond my limitations. So although it's limited, another human being could do what I do. And if another human being, that's a walk in the park. But since it's for me, it's beyond my limitations, that draws down also Hashem's infinite light too. Because I'm going beyond myself, I'm connecting to Hashem's infinity. Even though it's not infinite. But just like those mountains, the big mountains represent the infinite, so also when I climb something big for me, I connect Hashem's infinite light. Mendel Futafas used to say, what's b'chol miyadecha mean? Ma'od means very much. In the chassidus it's translated as very, with all your might, but ma'od means with all your very much. He used to say, what's the difference between someone who loves chocolate, someone who loves chocolate very much? It's a big difference. If you love chocolate, but you wake up in the morning, the first thing it's chocolate? Not necessarily. Loving Hashem very much, with that part of you that loves very much, that's b'chol miyadecha. That's excessive. That makes you go beyond yourself. Everyone said in the Maamar, b'chol miyadecha, what does it mean, b'chol miyadecha? That was said that in Tav Shalom Aleph, in Yidal Nissen, hold over there, that Maamar, Tav Shalom Aleph, Rebbe explains that Hashem made the world in a way that His light is hidden. So there's a Mitzrayim in the world. Mitzrayim is the limitations. The first Mitzrayim is the first symptom, the first contraction of Hashem's light. And that contraction, and more contractions, and more contractions, until it's possible to actually have a physical land of Mitzrayim. Not just the physical land of Mitzrayim, but for Mitzrayim to be, as it was, the abomination of the earth. So in order to fix this issue, Hashem put the whole world in our hearts. And we're able to fix this in our hearts. How so? Rebbe said, when a Jew realizes that Hashem is his heart, that he loves Hashem in a way of b'chol miyadecha, beyond all limitations, so he doesn't reckon, Rebbe said, with the limitations that his animal soul puts on him. He doesn't even reckon the limitations that his godly soul puts on him. He doesn't reckon the limitations that his neighbors put on him. This is what you could do, this is what you can't do. As soon as he realizes this is something which is connected with the love of Hashem, he does everything for the sake of Hashem, everything for Hashem. That's b'chol miyadecha. So because he goes beyond his limitations, so it starts to shine in the world also how Hashem creates the world, It starts to be a revelation in the world that's beyond creation as well. So that's the idea of B'chol Meidecha. Actually, in the Purim farbrengen, they walked into farbrengen, if I remember correctly, they said this. The farbrengen starts at 9:30, and the usual system in the yeshiva and Chabad is that the chassidus learning is still 9:30 at night. So they said, why is the farbrengen start at 9:30? Not at 9:27, not at 9:28, not at 9:29, but at 9:30. They said, because first you have to serve Hashem in a way of yada, in a way that you know, you understand. And then you have to serve Hashem beyond understand. There's b'chol v'chol nafsh. So certainly, Hashem doesn't just want us to go on turbo, on with all your might. He also wants us to fill our heart and our soul, love Hashem. There has to be the yada too, as the Rebbe said in that occasion. But beyond that, there has to be b'chol meidecha, beyond all limitations, beyond all boundaries. So that's the idea of the sister. Yes.
How does that connect to 9:30?
Oh, because that's a time when the Torah learning is finished.
But does 9:30 have any other part of the night meaning?
No, not because of the anything Kabbalistic, as far as the simple translation of those words. Just this is the time the boys finish learning.
Okay.
That's great. Now it starts with Chol Yachad. So in short, we learned today we learned the meaning of connection to Hashem as a sister. We learned how this is something the animal soul could appreciate as well, and that's the goal. That our animal soul should feel connected to Hashem in whatever it does, and that's being a sister. The word sister means bond. We bond with Hashem in everything that we do. Then the higher level of serving Hashem is as a bride. We said that what that means is two things. One is learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, and therefore drawing down the infinite light of Hashem into creation. And two, serving Hashem beyond our limits. And perhaps they're connected. By serving Hashem beyond our limits, we get in touch with the light of Torah. As the Rebbe Cashapp says, that the love of Hashem all beyond limitations causes the light of Torah to be revealed in you. Either way, to connect the infinite light of Hashem, so that the infinite light of Hashem is drawn in the world, that's the, so to speak, feeding Hashem. Just like the soul is spiritual and the body is physical and has to be something to be done to connect them, so too we have to make an effort to draw down the infinite light of Hashem into creation. And that's by being infinite ourselves. Although we're not really infinite, we're just going down the limitations, yet when we serve Hashem beyond ourselves, as opposed to like a sister, which is just in your nature, looking at the nature of the world, looking at the nature of our natural love for Hashem. When you go beyond that, that draws the infinite light of Hashem into creation. Mr. Hashem will get into the dove and the complete one. Mr. Hashem, we continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.